Official start time is 1:02. Pretty prompt. So I guess
relaxing.
And I'm doing the intro to the intro today. So we change off. So welcome to the second and probably last season of Enclave. I'm Bray Armentrout. Jean Huving and I organized the series together. Today we're very happy to welcome Erica Hunt. The audience will remain muted and the chat function turned off during the reading to reduce stray noise, promote concentration, and also, of course, protect us from Zoom bombing. Before we get started, I want to tell you who we have coming up. So on October 25th, Rodrigo Toscano. On November 1st, Susan Gervitz. On November 8th, Monica Yoon. Some of you may not be familiar with her in our regular audience, but try it. I think you'll like it, or her rather. November 15th, Charles Alexander. November 22nd, Liz Willis. And on November 29th, Layli Long Soldier. So before we do our intro, I want to give a brief introduction to Jean Huving, who will be doing the intro. Jean Huving is a professor of interdisciplinary arts at University of Washington, Bothell. She is a poet and a scholar. Her wonderful prose poetry collection, Mood Indigo, appeared this year from Selva Oscura Books. She is also the author of two recent critical books, The Transmutation of Love and Avant-Garde Poetics, from University of Alabama Press, and Inciting Poetics, Thinking and Writing Poetry, a collection of essays co-edited with Tyrone Williams from University of New Mexico Press. So over to you, Jean.
Okay, thank you, Ray. And it's great to see all of you here. And I'm very happy to introduce Erica Hunt. Erica has multiple books, including Local History Arcade, A Day and Its Approximate Others. And she has two new books, Veronica, a suite in X or 10 parts, out from Selva Oscura in 2019, and just out Jump the Clock. Excuse me. New and selected poems from Nightboat Books. I'm going to have to cough, which I don't like doing on Zoom. Something seems to have gone in my throat. Okay. She also has an impressive record of working in community nonprofits in New York City and teaching at multiple institutions currently at Brown University. I first became acquainted with Erica's work with the 1985 publication of her essay, Notes for an Oppositional Poetics. This essay is one of those essays that comes at the beginning of things. In this case, the advent of language poetry and a renewed commitment to experimental writing, and sets the stage and continues setting the stage for decades to come. It is also descriptive poetics for Erica's work. There is in this essay a capacious and an original understanding of the dominant and of the need to oppose this dominant, to pry it open, to break its lock. Something far easier said than done, especially for a writer who sets out as her aim the need to remove the distance between writing and experience. I'm going to quote a fair amount from this essay and occasionally paraphrase what follows. Erica defines the dominant as the language of ordinary life or of rationality, of moral management, of the science of the state, the hectoring threats of the press or the media. These all use convention to bind and organize us. Dominant and dominating languages are wedded to our common sense. They are formulaic without being intrusive, entirely natural, no marks on the body at all. These languages are used to preserve domination and operate to anesthetize desire and make resistance invisible. They lead to this dilemma, this difficulty. This is Erica's exact words. Oppositional groups, be they based on class, race, gender, or critical outlook, have traditionally been dependent in part on external definition by the dominant group. The perceived hostility of the dominant class shapes the bonds of opposition. In other words, we get stuck with the old codes, even as we try to negate them. Much of this, that's 1985, which I think is really impressive. Much of Erica's work can be seen as a creative response to this dilemma. Her writing does not evince so much a double consciousness as a doubleness between invoking dominant language and decreating and dismantling these. Take, for instance, her recently published book, Veronica, a suite in X 10 parts. Here the X is both the Roman numeral 10 and X as an X out, as if there can be no musical suites for this Veronica apart from the vacillation of these X's. There is in this book then the presentation of Veronica as a publicly nominated figure and Veronica of Hunt's further contemplation and wording. Near the beginning of the book, Erica writes, "Someone once took Veronica for me, as if our names were interchangeable syllabically for Black, female, fat, thin, poetic, shy, and angry, unpredictably angry, coming from nowhere to erupt anywhere." But while Black figures are configured through the public speak that attaches to them, Hunt's writing makes language creak, break. Hunt writes of Veronica and other others, Yvette, Evelyn, Henrietta herself, quote, "Lamenting in an appropriate structure has rendered her hoarse from not screaming. She is blind from reading from inside her lids. I would show you where it happened on a map. But the cursor of the public's attention has disappeared." For Hunt, the public is not an abstraction, but is the very air we breathe, the clothes we put on in the morning, the words we use and that use us, dominating, often wrong, but by Hunt opposed, contested. Evie Shockley writes in an afterword to Veronica, "Hunt doesn't merely turn a phrase, she turns it out." She asks the reader of this poetry, have we truly faced its music, its bitten staccato, its contrapuntal fugues, its cacophonous silences? Here is Erica.
Thank you so much for that introduction. That's very thoughtful. As you were reading it, I was thinking back to the circumstances of Notes for an Oppositional Poetics, and I realized that it has largely been aspirational. I don't know, I think I'm still as caught in the dilemma. And certainly on the occasion of putting Jump the Clock together, which is available from Nightboat Books, I realized, and of course, when you sort of go through like a lot of poems that you've written, you say, boy, you begin to understand how, that there's a certain thematic, let's put it that way. I have been oppositional for a long time, even when I think I'm writing a love poem. Anyway, you shall see. I thought I'd start at the beginning and read through this, and actually the poem that ends this collection is quite recent. So I'll read through some of them. And then I also have a little interlude. I have 2 interludes for us as well. I begin with preface. I was thinking that if the ceiling were mirrored, we would have to watch what we say about what we feel. That we could not use curtains to conceal what we know. That we could watch without leaving the room or the chair. Maybe watch the sun take over or the sun pulled up short. We could watch the hard stream of current events proceed in yanks or lurches. Hey, we could eliminate the ritual of walking around ourselves, meet head on, relying on how pure coincidence transforms trial and error. No more being thrown off beat. Why, it must be love if while beside you, I think of you and don't fall in. I could throw away my hat. I need the target practice. We could get down to work. Work is the metaphor for the idea we can touch, fingers and thumb putting matter into fact, and cease being Sunday Sandinistas. We could argue, get sprained on Topic Mountain, and then pass the whole night putting our shoulders to the planet. We could remove the Calvinist and other secret furniture from the language. Except when the power cuts out and being comes off as paint. Except when we are nobodies and I'm the only one left to catch me. Except when the calm we've kept comes off in conversation and they've beaten up the last stranger who wandered into their midst. Or when the bricks of the aircraft we're flying in begin to migrate slowly apart from the finish line, except when the exits aren't marked and the buses have stopped running at this hour. When we believe we have no other choice but to run and run and run and run and run and run while motionless until we stop waiting for solutions from afar that will never be given, until balance is fulfilled by the barely contiguous unfamiliar, until the texture of rain is wet with visible points, until the decay in language doesn't fix logic, until we enlist sense to illumination and make room for the blanks. It's my idealism days. In the corner of the eye, she must be someone's missing person, the unread portion. She sits on the stoop tearing pages out of 18-month-old penthouse magazines that someone has stacked for recycling. The gray sky is an emulsion of humidity and promised rain. She's oblivious beneath her umbrella, eating French toast and a large orange juice that someone walked out without paying for. She is a victim of a conspiracy of her teeth that keeps her away from the food she loves: raw carrots, corn, apples, raisins. She is forced to order omelets and French toast. Sometimes she offers to sweep their floors, rinse the windows of their daily ashes, and to defer to the empty plate that poverty and the times demand. It depends. When it's busy, her strategies are good currency, the currency of goodwill. She's wearing a skirt and pants, and it's cold. And she's between sexes just now. She's wearing shoes that don't fit her feet, like old felt hats at the ends of her legs. One of the definitions of being a person is that another person is talking to you. The person is particular, unlike that diffuse group of people you don't spend time with who are all pronouns. This person is the source of certain facts, but not the facts that she ever speaks out loud. This person you become accustomed to, her buckle, our buckle, her pins, our pins, her ankles, our ankles, her limp, our limp, your person, her person. It doesn't matter across the line once you cross the middle ground. The order of the story. 1, Imagine yourself walking into a room, the exercise suggests, and then describe how you fill the doorway, the direction you dress in, the way you walk out of the frame. Imagine finding stones, the inscriptions that predicted you. Invent that language now. Invent the language as if each inflection belonged to you instead of containing you, or treating you as if you were a commotion in the path of progress. Invent a language to describe the doorway in the person, eyes growing accustomed to the dark till the dark has layers peeling off in shiny blue slices. Here and there flashes as the tongue licks over the heart. Describe the figure the doorway supports. Into this trope come declensions, all the detail her mortal frame can claim, stick and join. Where the mind's orbit has faded into thoughts disguised as recalculation, where she shows signs of adjustment. She's a walking chainsaw in crinoline and spandex. She is a smile outlined by her name. Describe where the heart goes in and out of her, where the exits are marked. Indicate which team she's on, the team of moms, for the love of them, however the bread gets sliced. Described the butts in the doorway, everywhere in between, the butts where she trips or slides down them into some other contingency, the butt in a sentence with a dangling clause. She is the figure in the vicinity of her experience with its distracting claims on her attention. Capital letters inflate routine without which days curve away. Describe her as an exile where the landscape is mute, muffled under plexiglass beneath a ball that does not drop. A person in the doorway who feels the pull of the earth, a mighty planet, third from the sun. Where small talk is offered as evidence that one fits someplace, where the characters have names, open and shut cases of assumed identity, and they hold down their spots in a book. Where the characters read the book as they are writing it, form an informant. In this book, the withered see with their own eyes and are therefore plump and spry, and the young imagine a future flat and limitless amidst insurable and calculated risks, in which time is a lake, and the reflection of one's face stares up to the sky behind her. Each face is personal, each figure of safety, of love is particular. A glossary. A catalog of feeling. To approach, to find one's tongue in one's mouth. Courtship, to use an assumed name. Romance, to pencil the present, to pack the brackets, to sight read the weather. Request, to test the heat for empty, to talk straight. Refusal, to walk around oneself. Denial, to have the last word. Flirt, she writes a text backwards to a curtained modesty. Appeasement, he paints himself in. Passion, adjectives wag the dog. Passion, she takes a step back and can see herself fully in a darkened pane of glass in the kitchen window. Passion, he thought sentences had only two sides to them, the bottom and the top. Now love multiplies possible positions. Hard, he throws his gravelly voice, shifts from where he begins and ends. Pursuit of motion, she breaks into present tense. She spins through her skin. She shows her muscle. A race of borders. She drinks, draining the cup, thinking it's the same one she poured. Stepping off, He is impatient to be that one with her, stepping off. Her subplot as well. Their armor looks related. Immersion. They lock eyes and are surprised by the vertigo. He puts his thumbs in his ears and hears his heart unribboning. Sound and rhythm in the distance. She feels like paper caught in the updraft of a quiet explosion. Who lit the match? The lights flicker. It spreads. Every conversation ending with a question. I'm going to jump around a little. Surplus, future, imperfect. When the smoke lifted, there was no promised land in sight, no place to make a phone call, no lounge to use the soap in, no holy days, no spirituals, no speeches intended to solder you to earth, no seams between the excuses and platitudes, no reason to get up, no stops, no long nights of man-made objects, no more of the same, no difference either, no table of contents, just a list of demands, no anecdotes, we were getting paid by the hour, no benefits, we were temporary workers, no music, corporate ambience, no seatbelts, the entire world seemed unsafe, no geography, tourists were made at home with identical decor, no libraries, information out of the picture, no thought police, we all became deputies. We never let a line blur. One of those, my daughter brought it to my attention that I don't write many love poems. So here's one. So, okay, the net. Momentary wind in my ears during the channel crossing. We hang on to each other, massage the exchange of heat, radiant, unlit, aromatic exclamation. Look back to back on it, where our embrace has brought us to the other side of beloved, behind the face, within inches of an extreme edge of our most forward selves. Suits us, don't you think? To be that close to living skin, not indentured to the imagination. You stir again, or is that me unwinding the elastic bits, both of us tied in such unexpected places, the curve of a back awaiting bracket, our silhouettes enfold back from exile, we find form, our legs, thighs, a free substance returning to liquid, and even moisture you lay down paints my skin, rinses the label and slips me a peel, rises from my hands, my feet, and gives you back your sense of touch. A storm close enough to tip us over. Love without a net. Woman with wings. The way out of the library isn't always clear. Victory, or so she calls herself, drives with me. We move, closing the zipper across the landscape, joining two sides of an emotion together. Up ahead at the fork, causality breaks into a side effect. We interrupt the librarian's silent monologue. It drains his face of animation, sucks the air from the room. His figure bars the exit like a bad habit. It is possible to train these associations, whether you like them or not. With practice, you can predict defeat or summon the sunrise over the scene murderously. Work is pushing past resistance, past the sense it has all been written before, spilling off the library shelves. Sometimes you can read with the headlights on. Sometimes you can drive to moods for which no correlates exist, only curves, shaded paths in the wilderness, occasional plots of land ignored by absentee owners. The cars ahead of us have disappeared. Finally, the way is clear, and we have come to a way out. Past the flocked walls, the manipulated seams, past the unzippered feeling, the tacit violence between its teeth, the trick with the mirrors and speed. I'm just going to read a couple of poems from Peace Logic, and I'll read my funny poem, and then I'll show my funny picture, and then I'll move on. Should I read my funny poem? I'll read my serious poem, and then I'll read my funny poem. Then I'll show the funny picture. Okay. Just keep up. Serious poem. Invisible hands. Invisible hands trade down the block or round the world, down the food chain from forward to back, to escape the air-grabbing heat, the crop failing, the monsoon in June, a fluke of the weather, a storm of flowers whipped into a rain that claims the last village. The residents head out of the city to make money, but they never make the money they seek. Instead, they make keychains and sneakers and baseball gloves and flame-proof nightwear and transmissions and stereos, computer chips, Gap jeans, rugby polo shirts, dolls with the features of Norte Americanos or slave girls or Indian princesses living their lives in a legend unlike their own, except for the unlocatable middle. Just in time, the chain continues unbroken to unwind the thing after the thing, the line of never broken nouns. And if it breaks, we fix it quick so the chain can never be broken, even if it shouts out a chorus set to shuffle. The rocks never seem to disappear, but become dust, a dust that lasts from morning to morning, chained to a logic we are doomed to follow. These invisible hands, they rice the peas, they spice the rice, they circle the turns, they turn on the presses, they raise the letters, they letter the spaces, they address the edges before they bang into one another, they mask the connections. Invisible hands milk the spill, ship the ink, jump the rope, rip the chute, lay the trail, time the tear, eye the glaze, bat the wing, bat the lash, brown the tan, fiddle the sticks, ride the herd, read the horde, hear the roar, read the dim, damp the rhyme, rind the orange, toast the storage. Invisible hands carry the thread the vowels, stall the calls, pour the molds, powder the walls, dent the bins, stamp the bills, core the questions, comma the nouns, time the charts, corner the squares, square the curves, loosen the jaws, spill the beans, bell the cats, feed the beasts. It's years before a family will follow off the edge of the ramp into this putative new life where the past has vanished and the present is all time charts, marked invisibly, only visibly hot, in a red dark of selective vision, in plain sight and out of sight. One hand tries to clap the other, as in the phrase, "Give me some skin." A slap of palms, right hand to right hand, empty. See, no weapon here. We come in peace. We come out of the hypnotic circle that orbits and holds us in constant bind of stick 'em up and lap dancing out of rigged destiny across the violent border of property and oblivion until hands can be detected in the bric-a-brac of the world. One more serious poem. Peace Logic. Proof that we live in a broken world and a broken world is unlivable. Proof that the carrot turns into a stick and vice versa. Proof that that seems normal, self-sufficient. Proof that we sometimes destroy things that are broken and can't be fixed, and sometimes fix things because to live with them broken is unthinkable. Proof that we switch roles, sometimes to destroy things that are broken and can't be fixed, and sometimes to live with things that are broken because to fix them would be unthinkable. Proof that we learn to live with the unthinkable. Rectangles in tangerine, orange, and persimmon fall into place. They take our names, simulate full hands. Proof that having full hands leaves no time for questions. Proof that we can't help grabbing the sharp end even when all the warnings are there. Proof that we find the hot water finds us. Proof in the tongue of ruin and burn, we are fluent in the language of ruin. The trees have fallen and the forest has come apart. Proof then by reading it on paper. Proof in unmarked bills, line by line, our eyes fill up with witness. There were mornings as clear as glass. Can stones be far behind? Household gods. The shoemaker's children. Okay, so the pretext of this book is I had this vision of a woman who works at United Laboratories. And if you know, United Laboratories on all your electric devices, and they break things so that they tell you, don't put your toaster in the water. They do it. They do all the things you're not supposed to do with your life. So I had this whole reverie about things and a woman working at United Laboratories. And so this is called Household Gods. The shoemaker's children have no shoes. Outside the house of broken things, she never knows how to choose appliances. When she sees them now fully dressed off the examining table, she barely recognizes them in their bright packaging surrounded by snowy white styrofoam and suggestively cut cardboard. Even the relatively denuded model appliances on the store shelves seem worlds away from the electroanatomies she and her colleagues disassemble and reconstruct. They seem coy. The way the naked body, when clothed or partially clothed, is coy. The bodice frames the breast, the thong nuzzles the thigh where it meets the coil, the strap caresses the shoulder as it falls. She is momentarily baffled and aroused by the come-ons of appliances in the marketplace, shutters and shameless steel. Not only the modern appliances, but even the old ones she sees at the flea markets on the weekend, the way their belts are strapped, discrete bits visible from below, the springs locked in visor grips, stiff joints tense, compact weight registering in the palm, in the tips of her fingers as she tries all the buttons. When she finally makes it to the appliance section of the Kmart to replace that microwave or toaster, she is as covert in her investigations as a businessman in a suburban tit bar. Reinflatable happiness. The toaster breaks and she cruises the aisles of the megastores looking for a new one. And sometimes she looks, even if she doesn't need a new toaster. On such days, she feels dirty. She doesn't want to be recognized. The salesman breaks the strap on the package to extract a toaster to display to her. He says the cord's pretty long. He mutters as he unwraps the tie, holding the electrical cord. It'll fit any outlet. See, like this, and he demonstrates. Toaster ovens generally fall into two ranges, the cheap, the expensive. The convection type. That'll roast a meat or stew or defrost food. Now, that's going to set you back a couple of ducats. Rapid, even heat. Dry heat safely contained, a dizzying heat of no radiance, heat cubed, multiplied without becoming spent. The salesman describes the oven in a manner that defies physical law. It supplies perpetual heat, natural law broken in this disordered universe. For some reason, this sounds just right to her. At home, the thing breaks and she can never find the warranty, just like the rest of us. Concentration destroyed by sirens. The effects of the lack of effect. It doesn't plug in as advertised. It burns the toast. It bites the hand that feeds it. It remains bone cold. The washing machine churns and walks across the utility room in agitation. It throws up soap suds and has unaccountable accidents on the floor. The iron scorches and whistles. It never means what it says. It rumples the linen and burns the nylon. The microwave sings and hisses and melts the plastic containers it tends. The refrigerator never ceases humming, sometimes breaking into postmodern cold jet choruses. All the food placed in it spoils. The dishwasher breaks glasses in fits, and it puts food on the plates that have been thoroughly rinsed before they were put in the racks. She's never had a CD player that liked the music she likes to play. High anxiety. We are careful never to take a trip together, especially the parents, both at once, by airplane or train. We leave separately on separate dates and meet at a location we don't disclose until within an hour of our rendezvous. We stay away from windows, also large public places and famous spots. Grand Central might as well be another galaxy, and also Yosemite, the Parthenon, Victoria Falls, and Chase Stadium. The Amazon is a remote possibility. We only eat food from cans or sealed in packages, food that has been registered and has a traceable record. Unfortunately, we had to eliminate any food that is red. As a precaution, we have set up our own cell with bars, a uniform, and an alarm system. We hope all of this is enough to protect the life we have built together, its routines, wood, rock, paper, scissors, the threads. Let's see what I want to get to. Yeah, okay. I'm going to skip and go to, skip a lot and go to some part of Veronica, because I want to show you a little film too. So here we go, Veronica. Someone matching your description. This is, so I've skipped a couple, some pages. You wake me up, Veronica, to escort you to the door to the unknown. And I am slapped awake and paperless, my eyeglasses abandoned on the ledge, startled, a tongue triggered dry, staring into eyes emptied of the exact shape of mercy. They are ice. You, Veronica, are beside yourself, your face a burned down house. Count me in so I can walk with you, Veronica, though you are mostly alone. I should have said something about this. Veronica came to me, let me start over. Veronica came to me as a dream, in a dream. And that was the name that I woke up with. And Veronica became sort of an alter ego as I kind of took in a kind of a deep pessimistic view about race in this country. And I started the poem around the acquittal of George Zimmerman, so it was quite a while ago. And then it just kind of compounded. And I kept writing Veronica poems for a time. So Veronica, when I say someone matching your description, I was kind of looking about and seeing Veronica everywhere and here with me as the mother of two adult children. Okay, someone matching your description. You wake me up, Veronica, to escort you to the door to the unknown, and I am slapped awake and paperless, my eyeglasses abandoned on the ledge, startled, a tongue triggered dry, staring into eyes emptied of the exact shape of mercy. They are ice. You, Veronica, are beside yourself, your face a burned down house. Count me in so I can walk with you, Veronica, though you are mostly alone, even dry-eyed at your own funeral. Even being of two minds is not enough. When Jacob wrestled with an angel, I wonder who wrestles with me or you to argue reasonable doubt when I know they never leave their fucking guns. They carry them everywhere in churches and bars and courtrooms, and they put scare quotes around the world. They are never mistaken. There are no words for mistake, no reason for indefinite register. They speak in a prose that refuses to be tamed by thought's inflection, always mad as hornets in a front pocket, inedible, stuck on the fear of deserved reprisal. The axe that never quite falls. Hold that thread, please. So they call to query, pray, footstool, and chattel. Someone's back to stand on, to enable them to climb the ladder faster, unlitter the ladder faster, and limit equality to a single call, a single meaning, a single tongue, a simple song. For how long? There are no words for mistake, no obvious thread that binds the master to the missing supply of mastery. Even sleeping histories, abolished fictions, live absent the bigot whose afterthought is our undermine. Just one knowing what is known from before, and knowing what the owners of copious knowing know without speaking, say without saying exactly. Be my scapegoat, my sex toy, my just dessert, my bowl of candy, my profits, my penciled thought, my extinction. Ghost names. Veronica, whose ghost name is Vita, wept to be a grandmother at 35. For don't stones desire to be touched? Veronica, whose ghost name was Yvette, who other girls lay in wait to fight every day, bitten by one fierce girl while other girls laughed so out of body they never noticed the bites scarring their own bituminous skin. Veronica, whose ghost name was Evelyn, was murdered by her husband, for even a rock wants to dance and not be hurled and broken, orphaning their children and children's children. Veronica, whose ghost name was Henrietta, brought from Antigua to warm a stone of a man almost 3 times her age, outlived him and her 7 children. Veronica, whose ghost name is Martha, whose rage at martyrdom turns her arms into resting missiles, all new never to cross. The heart moves from one side to the other catastrophe, or gets hit in the forehead, or shoved, always out of nowhere, pulled by the reins of female obedience, which is killing us. V sticks out like a battered peace sign. V as in what victory? Like parted legs or an unexpected sharp corner. Oh, I'm going to jump because we've got to move along here. I'm going to read 2 more poems. Maybe I'll. That won't. 2 more. Broken English. It's a lamentation. Wound up inwards, wounded, re-wounded, the beaten, bulleted body repeats. Wound reads into ache instead, e or not, ready, read already or not, be read, bread, be broken syllables, detachment. It's not better remembered, it's renders speechless, tenderness, it strips skin dread like kindling into broken states, rendering illegible and unintelligible where blackness suppressed by laws, severed tongues to cower us and scowl us dead mute. Yet I to speak all at once the thing that has been on her my mind, which words, verbs recover dignity, restores, letters to the muffled, unmuzzled, full-throated sound as if somebodied. The dead lines each the proper order of scorched zones of property, proprieties, intention, returns me day after day to variations of question, how to breathe freely, despite shackle, rattle, and pummeled jolts. Where does glare recede? Where do words lead? To care beyond sight, out of sight, a path to better resist. Last one. This is where love comes in. There's so much to do for justice. We're running out of brink. So I grab my socks and pull them up, slip the latch on my one-track mind, and avoid the chair that catches me with a nap. I point my feet in the left direction, prove I am all ears, work with the pivot, the hit, the city, its dance map, avoid the cemetery of stubborn spots, avoid walks with a slow crawl, and notice the furnished detours along the way. Each step one takes in public jars the partially apprehended panorama of the cookie cutter's regrets is an occasion to learn from the field of the interior. Here, the street, home, catalog, collected histories of first aid and relief, post no bills on dread, seek out uncollectibles, be suspicious of fancier goods, lost than found. Bravery starts from the bottom. Love notes, warrior sends souvenirs home. The simple assault of questions, too numerous to canal, the sky's not the limit. It turns out the breeze is a whisper of eighth notes detached from the staff, bird wings by named and numbered in regimented flight, no words without commitment to the act of answering or defaulting to an I don't know. This is where love comes in. Coat on, coat off, hat on, hat off. Go back for the gloves. Go back for the umbrella. Go back for the scarf, for the plastic orange glasses, for the rain boots with frog faces on the toes. Both the kids like them. Their small hands fit perfectly into mine. Let few events escape. They mark every page like a bookmark, as if joy dropped on the path a few days ago will show up later in melting snow. Thank you.